Hi, this is Christine Conwell, the City Librarian at the Moorpark City Library, and today I wanted to share with you how to assemble the September craft for our Crafty Adult program, which was a simple quilled card. Thanks to the generosity of the Moorpark Friends of the Library, we were able to put together a limited number of supply kits for our patrons to create this craft at home. Now, if you weren't able to get one of our craft kits, you can find these supplies at any local crafting store or online. So we're gonna go ahead and get started. Quilling is an art form that involves the use of strips of paper that are rolled, shaped, and then glued together to create decorative designs. Inside of the kits that we provided is everything you need to create one card with 3 flowers and a ladybug. Now your flowers may not look like my examples. You'll see I have 2 different flower petal styles. These petals here are in the eye shape, and I decided to make it a full flower, whereas with my other one, I have these teardrop shaped petals, and then I only did kind of a half a flower so that it's facing up towards the sun. So inside of your kit that you got from the library, you should have a supply list, and you'll find inside a card with an envelope. Okay, so that's the base. That's what we're going to be gluing everything on top of. You're going to have strips of paper. You'll have 18 strips of one color. The colors vary by kit. So it can be blue, purple, pink. Just make sure that you have 18 strips. And these are about 15 inches long. We purchased these online, but like I said, if you didn't get a chance to get a kit from the library, you can purchase materials online or from a local craft store. We have 5 strips of green. These are going to be the leaves and the stem of our flowers. You should have either yellow or brown for the center of your flowers. Red and black. These are going to make up your ladybug. And then there's 4 random strips of paper are in there, and those are going to be your practice strips, and actually the first thing that we're going to be doing today, because I want to show you before we get started how to create the 5 basic quilling shapes. So you see here we have a tight coil, a loose coil, the teardrop, a half circle, and the eye. And these 5 shapes are the 5 basic quilling shapes that we'll use to put together a card. So let's go ahead and get started. Go ahead and grab those random strips so they don't match. They're not red, yellow, brown. The colors in my kit were white. And so these are for us to practice those 5 basic shapes before we actually get started. So the first thing I want you to do is to take a piece of paper and gently put the end of it into the slot of the tool. Now I'm holding my tool in my dominant hand. I happen to be right-handed, and then I'm using the thumb and index finger of my other hand to hold the paper in place. I'm going to slowly start turning the tool so that the paper rolls onto itself. And with my thumb and index finger, I'm making sure that it stays on top of itself and that it doesn't funnel out or create a tornado shape. And I'm also using my fingers to pull it tight. Not so tight that it's going to get stuck on the tool or that it's going to rip, but tight enough to help those coils form. So this first shape that we're going to create is the tight coil. And the tight coil is the start of every shape that we do. See, I did that a little too tight. There we go. Now, if we were to put a drop of glue here and close it, and I like to call that the tail. So if we put a drop of glue on the tail and then glue it onto itself, that would be a tight coil. But I want to show you how easy it is to go from a tight coil to a loose coil. So all I'm going to do is hold it between my index finger and thumb, and then I'm gently releasing the pressure to allow that coil to expand. Now I did that one a little tight, so I'm just going to help it, okay? Now, with your toothpick and your little jar of glue, you just need a little bit of glue to put on the end. It's not a whole lot of glue. And then we're going to close that on itself. And there you have a loose coil. All right, so grab another strip of your practice paper, insert it gently into the slotted tool, and start turning. Let's go ahead and create a tight coil again. And the next shape I'm going to show you how to make is the teardrop. So I'm turning. See, if I start going too fast, that's when it starts to create that tornado, and we want to avoid that. All right, so here I have, again, a tight coil. I'm going to just gently release the pressure, release those coils so it becomes a loose coil, and I go to about the size of the pad of my finger. Now, if you purchase a kit, a quilling kit online, a lot of times it comes with a board that has different shapes on you, and that helps you to create the same size circle and shape every time. So using the toothpick, we're just putting a tiny bit of glue onto the tail of our coil. All right, so there is our loose coil again. Now, to make our teardrop, what you're going to do is you're going to take the center of that coil and hold on to it. So I'm holding it at the bottom. And then with my index finger and thumb, I'm going to pinch the top. And when you let go, you should have a teardrop. The next shape that I want to show you is how to create the eye. The teardrop and the eye shape are what we're going to use for the petals and leaves. And what I would encourage you is, if you choose to do teardrop petals, to do the eye shape for your leaves, and vice versa. If you do an eye shape petal, to use the teardrop for the leaves, just so that you can get practice with the different shapes. So I put my strip of paper onto the slotted tool. I'm turning. All right, so there is our tight coil again. I'm going to release the coils to create a loose coil, and again, about the size of the pad of my finger. We're going to take a little bit of glue on the tail of the coil. All right, so there is our loose coil. Now, to create the eye shape, you're going to hold the coil between the index fingers and thumbs of both hands, and then pinch on either side. And there you have an eye shape. So your petals are going to either be 18 of the teardrop or 18 eye shapes, okay? And the last shape that you're going to need is the half circle, and that makes up the wings of our ladybug. So again, put your paper in the slotted tool, turn, 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 turn. This is a great crafting activity for those of you that are maybe rewatching a program on TV or streaming it on, one of the various streaming devices. I know I'm rewatching a show right now, and so it's not something that needs my whole attention, and this is just a great way to keep my hands busy. I'm also trying to look at my computer screen less, so getting off my phone and apps and social media, so this is just another really fun new craft that I enjoy doing. All right, I've got my tight coil. I'm going to open it up to a loose coil. Okay, we're going to go ahead and put a drop of glue on the tail. There we go. So we have our loose coil. Now to create the half circle, what you're going to do is a lot like the eye. We're going to hold it between the index fingers and the thumbs. But this time we're just going to use our thumbs to push into the coils about 1/3 of the way. So I'm using my thumb to push in, almost like I'm creating a smile, and kind of pinching the corners as I do that. And there we have a half circle. All right, so like I said, you're going to take your 18 strips of the one color, whatever color came in your kit, or if you're purchasing supplies on your own, whatever you want the petals of your flowers to be. And you are going to create 18 either teardrop or eye-shaped petals. Now I went ahead and created mine because I didn't want you to have to sit here and watch me create 18 petals. So I chose to do the eye-shaped petals. But I wanted to show you how to assemble and glue them onto your card. Now this is where you can take a lot of creative liberties. Don't feel that you have to lay it out or design it the way that I do. Something that's helpful though, don't just glue your petals straight on without at least laying it out and seeing where you want your flowers. You don't have to use all 6 petals for your flowers. If you want, you could do 5, you could do 4 if you want, even less. It's really up to you. We just give you enough to create the basic design, but it's always interesting to me that our designs are so different. And I lost one of my petals. So maybe we'll have we'll do one that's like 3. Okay, there we go. So once you have your petals laid out how you would like them, the next step is to glue the petals down. Now there's a couple different techniques that you can use. The one that I like to use is I take a little bit of my glue and I actually just put it either on a piece of paper, or in this case I'm using the lid of my glue, and I'm just going to spread it out to make a thin layer. Okay. Next, I'm going to take my petal and I'm very gently going to dab it in the glue. Now don't set it in and push it, because what will happen is your center coils will stick to the glue, and then as you pull it up, they're going to get pulled out. So I just tapped it. I barely set it in there and I pulled it off really quick. And then I'm going to glue it down. The other option is to take your toothpick and then brush the glue onto the back side. We're using Elmer school glue, so this will dry clear. Here we go. So again, you can either use the toothpick to brush the glue onto your petal. And just assemble this one flower. Or let me show you again. You can take the petal. I have a little bit of glue in the lid of my the lid of the glue container, and I'm just going to dab it. And be very careful, because if it gets too far in, remember those center coils are going to get stuck, and when you try to pull it out, it's going to pull your coils. All right, so let's do it one more with that final petal. Oh, I think, oof, it almost got stuck. Now, something that comes with the kits that you purchase online is a pair of tweezers. If you have tweezers at home, I would highly recommend using them. You can avoid getting glue on your fingers, or getting it kind of all over the card as well. All right, so there is one of our flowers that is glued down. The next thing you need is 3 tight coils. Using the yellow strips of paper, I cut them. I had 1 strip whole, and then I cut one in half, and I rolled 3 tight coils, and I'm just going to glue that to the center of my flower. And I really like that dip method. All right, so here's what we have so far with our one flower. Next, go ahead and take a strip of your green paper. You're not going to need the whole strip to create the stems. So what you're going to do is we're actually going to glue this onto its side like this. So we're not going to glue it flat. We want to continue with that 3D effect, and we're going to glue it standing up. So what I like to do is measure from the base of my flower to just slightly past the tip of the end of my card. Okay, and I'm just gonna rip it. It's a little bit. That ripped end, I'm going to put in my slotted tool, and I'm just gonna turn it a couple times and then let go. I'm not gonna use any glue here. And that cute little curl, that cute little coil is actually what's gonna go at the base of my flower. Okay, so here we go. Again, you can use the dipping technique, or you can use your toothpick, and it's the edge of your paper, so not the flat side, the edge of the paper that we are gluing down. There we go. You may need to hold it for a second, and you could also have fun and give it a little curl and or make your stems wavy. You may just need to hold it just to allow the glue to set. It doesn't take very long. Okay, there we go. So there is the stem of our flower, and as you can see, I glued it on its side, not the flat side, and then I gave it a little curl where it connected to the center of my flower. All right, for the leaves, because I chose to do the eye-shaped petals for my flower, I'm going to put my leaves as the teardrop shape. So with your remaining strips of green, and you would repeat this step for the stem with the rest of that one strip of green. One strip should do all 3 stems. The remaining 4 strips of green, you can cut in half, or you can do some in half and then some as a full strip. It just depends on how big you want your leaves to be. So because I did eye-shaped petals, I'm gonna do the teardrop shaped leaves. And like I said, I've already done them because I just wanted to show you how to assemble it, create the basic shapes, and then assemble your flower. Okay, so I'm going to just start with these 2 petals. So we've done our flower, we have our stem, and we have our petals. The next thing that we need to assemble is the ladybug. So this one I am going to go through and show you again. This is where we did the half circle. One strip of red is enough for each wing. So I'm just going to take my strip of red, place it in the slotted tool, and for our ladybug, his or her wings are going to be made up of 2 half circles, which may end up turning into moons, depending on how you want to wrap them around the body. So I am rolling my red paper into a tight coil. I'm going to loosen it. Just a little bit of glue at the end. That's a pretty small coil. I probably should have opened it some more. Okay, so the half circle, holding it between the thumb and the index finger, pushing in with my thumb. And there we go, we have a half circle. So 2 of your half circles, the red, are going to make up the wings of the ladybug. The body of the ladybug is using your 2 strips of black. 1 strip, we're going to do a teardrop shape. Okay. So we're rolling 1 strip of black into a tight coil, and then we're gonna open it up to a loose coil. There we go. Let's go ahead and glue the tail. And then remember, to create that teardrop, we're gonna hold those center coils down and then pinch the top. So there is the body of our ladybug. We're going to go ahead and I'm going to dip. I'm going to put my ladybug right here. And then the wings, like I said, I kind of like the wings to wrap around the body a bit, so I might just create more of a moon shape by pressing in a bit further and not having a flat side to my semicircle. All right, so there is 1 wing. Let's go ahead and glue the other wing. And then finally, let me show you how to do the head and the antennae. So with your remaining black strip, you're going to, again, fold it in half, cut it. Let's insert it into the slotted tool. Turn, 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 turn. Okay. We're going to create a loose coil, so gently release the pressure. There we go. Add your drop of glue to the tail. Now what I do for the head of my ladybug is I'm holding the loose coil between my thumb and index finger of my left hand. Or actually, I'm going to hold it between the 2. And then just like with the half circle, I'm going to push in, but now I'm going to kind of push in with my nail bed of 1 nail to create a heart shape. And it's because I want it to wrap around a little bit the wings and body. So see, it fits pretty flush. Okay, we're going to glue that on. With your remaining strip, you're not going to need the whole thing. You don't even need half for each of the antennae. We're just going to take a little rip And I'm going to rip another piece about the same size. Like we did with the stem of our flower, I want you to curl one end. Okay, let's do the same with our other strip. You're going to just curl one end. And then this actually looks a bit long for me. Yep, that is really long. And I'm ripping the paper. If you have scissors, you can use scissors. I just find it easier to rip. Okay, so there is one. I dipped it this time. And then let's dip the other one. Oh, I forgot to cut it. Here we go. And there is our ladybug. And if you wanted to, with my sample, I took a Sharpie and I just created this cute little dots behind him, so it made it look as though he was flying. With the remaining black, you could create some smaller tight coils and you could place them on top, or you could try to fit them in between your coils. But that is just how to assemble your card. So I'm going to end there, but I'm going to continue off screen working on my 3 remaining flowers. I need to find those petals, the 2 petals that I lost. I'm sure they're somewhere in the library. Well, I hope you enjoyed this craft. I am so sorry for such a long video. We'll work on cutting that down, but I hope you can join me next month on October 1st at 2 and 6 p.m. We will be making no-sew fabric pumpkins. So if that's something you're interested in, give the library a call at 805-517-6370. Once again, that's 517-805-517-6370 and reserve your craft and your spot today. Thank you for joining me. I will see you next month for our Crafty Adult program here at the Moorpark City Library. Bye-bye.